Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alecia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. This is episode 188, and it is my turn to be dying a little bit. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize that I look like a corpse, and Sierra just feels like one. So, we're here. We're ready for it. And I have a cult episode for you today.
I bet people who don't watch this, who just look at pictures, like screenshots of this, don't understand who we are, because you are literally wearing makeup talking about looking like a corpse. How does that make sense?
You know when you don't have the
Anyway.
same spark in yourself and you just feel dull? I have so many layers of makeup on my face because my nose is red. So I was feeling like I had to go above and beyond to look less dead.
Okay.
But that's okay. We're here and we're ready for it. And I have a cult episode for you, but rather than a specific cult, I have a type of cult. Because many groups like this still exist today, and as many as 700,000 people have been affected by it in the US each year. That doesn't even include the rest of the world and our listeners. Today, we will be talking about conversion camps as related to sexuality, because obviously you can pray away the gay, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah. You've heard of this, obviously.
I know of the concept. I didn't realize it was a real place. Like that there were real places. That's so fucking weird.
Yeah, they're like actual groups of churches that come together.
Yeah.
And yes.
This is very similar to a cult that I've been wanting, that I don't know if it actually exists, but I briefly heard/saw it mentioned on Reddit and have been trying to find it. So I wonder if you're gonna touch on it at all today.
Maybe. If
Yeah.
not, you're set.
Well, I need more information still, so.
Well, before we get into it, do you have a fun fact for me?
I do have a fun fact. My fun fact is that a Moscow Mule, the drink, was originally called a buck vodka.
A buck
buck?
vodka.
You
That
could
doesn't
get a
flow off
buck
the tongue.
anything. You could get a buck vodka, you could get a buck gin, you could get a buck
Oh.
whiskey. A buck is just a drink that has ginger beer, citrus, and whatever kind of alcohol you want. So buck vodka is Moscow Mule.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting, right?
Very interesting. Well, I don't know many. Who knows? Other types
Look,
of alcohol
Jesse and
might be
I-
really good with ginger beer. You never know.
Jesse and I tried a buck tequila with Nick Jonas's tequila, and it was disgusting. So sorry, Nick Jonas. Buck tequila,
And that's
not
saying
good.
something because we tried and tested the Nick Jonas tequila with lime and mint leaves only, and it was fucking delicious.
It was delicious with wine and mint leaves only.
But my fun fact is not about our favorite drink, but it is about McDonald's, which is neither of our favorite fast foods. But I thought this fun fact was interesting for the reason that McDonald's was first installed in a restaurant based in Sierra Vista, Arizona, located near the Fort Huachuca military installation, and the military rules forbade soldiers from wearing their military uniforms in public, so they weren't allowed to change into civilian clothes to grab a burger and run back to base. So restaurant manager Dave Rich came up with a solution, cutting a hole in the wall and allowing members of the military to pick up their orders without stepping out of their car. And thus, the McDonald's drive-thru was invented.
That is super interesting.
Right?
That's actually, I don't think it's a rule anymore. I'm pretty sure when I was in the military, they took the rule away. But while I was in at one point, it was still a rule that you were not allowed to wear your military uniform, like,
Really?
out. Yeah.
That's
I don't know
wild to me.
why. It is weird.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they changed that, and I'm glad McDonald's was like, you know what? We're going to come up with a solution so you guys can still get your burger on.
I'm actually really glad to know that the reason drive-throughs was invented was to help service members, not because we're all fat and lazy. Like, you know?
Which is like the normal belief surrounding a drive-through, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
don't get me wrong, I am extremely thankful that they exist and that I can pull into a drive-through in my pajamas
Did I
in
ever
the morning
take you
after a hangover, you know?
to a drive-through in Cincinnati?
No.
The drive-throughs, like, it's just a drive, like, it's a gas station that you drive
No, but you
through.
pointed them out to me and you did tell
Oh
me
my
about them.
gosh. Why
Yeah,
did we not
which is
drive
so
through
cool. I
one?
don't know. I remember us talking about it though.
Yeah,
But I just thought that that was an interesting fun fact.
it is.
And today's wine comes with its own little mini fun fact. Today we have a white wine featuring the Barefoot Sauvignon Blanc, which we have done a barefoot wine before. It was a Moscato about 3 years ago. But these wines are budget friendly, and Barefoot as a company has been a proud ally of the LGBQT plus community since 1988. So that
Nice.
makes it that much of a winner in our books. This Sauv Blanc is bursting blissfully with summer fruit tones, hints of citrus, pear, peach, nectarine, and ripe honeydew melon all combine to deliver a wine that is delicious, crisp, and extremely tasty. And I can say for a fact that that is true. I'm quite enjoying it. It is the
Sounds
only thing getting
delicious.
me through my owie nose right now. Are you drinking anything fun?
I'm drinking Moscow Mule.
Perfect. In light of, I was going to say, if you're not after that fun fact, I am disappointed. Did you go to the gym this morning?
No, I didn't. Because
But you
when I
got
woke
up
up,
at your early time?
I did. I woke
Oh,
up,
so there you go.
and
Half the
when
battle.
I woke up, listen, when I woke up, I thought there was a tornado. My windows were shaking. Uh, Turns
That's
out
so
it was just
scary.
a thunderstorm. It was raining sideways. Like, my window was being pelted with rain this morning.
What
So I was
is
like, I am
happening in the
not
South?
leaving
Like,
my
are you
house,
guys okay?
actually.
First the snow, then sideways rain.
Literally sideways. It was insane.
That's wild. That happens regularly in Vancouver, so it's extra gloomy and spooky at all times. But I'm glad there was no tornado because that's a very scary way to wake up.
Definitely.
And speaking of scary, we are going to hear a promo before we get into this week's cult from our friends over at the true crime podcast Suspended Sentence. And we will be right back. So, the reason why I was inspired to cover this topic this time around specifically is because it has been made apparent to me that people that I see every day in my life still believe that being gay is something that can be fixed with therapy. And honestly, this truly breaks my heart. Friends of ours have also recently come out, and we want to be a platform that is safe and inclusive for everybody. The pain of the firsthand experiences we will be talking about today run deep, but I think conversations like this are important.
I think it's really funny that this week, not only again, we're both wearing the same color. I don't know if you have noticed, but yesterday, maybe it was even this morning, might have been 2 days ago, I changed my Finch's shirt to the omnisexual hearts shirt.
I did, and I love it.
Completely unrelated to this, but
Yeah.
same wavelength, okay? Always.
Guys, we are both obsessed with the little My Finch self-care app, and we will be talking about it on this month's Bitch and Wine. So if you want to come hang out with us and talk about obscure topics over on Patreon, feel free to do that.
Yes.
But I'm very excited because yeah. If you also are a little neurospicy and have a hard time getting shit done, we would recommend this app.
Be our friends.
Yeah, please. If you already have it and you are a listener, please feel free to send us a message with the link.
Befriend Andarna and I. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I love your name.
You'll love it more when you read Fourth Wing.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, I was trying to think of a name for mine that And I gave up, so I just went with Peaches, which is the same one that I use for Animal Crossing, but I might change it. And she's pink, because pink's a great color. Anyways, so that is the reason why I've chosen to cover this today. The Netflix documentary, Pray Away. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay. It's been on my list for a really long time, basically since we started this podcast, because we used to do recaps and discussions, and we never did it because it was a single documentary. So it features the stories of several people who were deeply involved in Exodus International. It also focuses on people that completely believe that therapy and prayer have helped them and continue to practice and speak with other groups. I'm glad that they covered it in this way because it shows an objective side to both parts and gives the message ultimately behind this just that much more power. I will say it's hard to watch at times seeing the pain on that side though, but this was my primary source for the firsthand experiences that I will be sharing today, so I wanted to give credit where credit is due. So, Exodus International was founded in 1976 out of pure happenstance. What started as multiple religious-based gay support groups coming together turned into this absolute beast of an organization. It would become one of many organizations in the anti-gay movement across the United States. And to clarify, when I say gay support group, I mean people that are struggling in religious settings that are gay.
That
And
needs support because
they are gay. And their fellow group member is also gay, and what they are being taught in their religious setting is that this is wrong, and their relationship with God and prayer hasn't fixed them yet, so they need support. And I will say, if you are new to the podcast, because new people listen all the time and I often forget about that, there is some heavy sarcasm in my voice here because we are 100% an LGBTQ plus ally podcast. So everything that I am saying is based on information, not my opinion. I just want to clarify that. I don't want an angry mob. A beautifully dressed angry mob after me. Okay. So Exodus sought to limit homosexual desires and provide support and therapy to help their members. Hundreds of counselors and psychologists would claim to be experts in conversion therapy and were brought in to speak to their audience. Many members were confused and afraid and ate all of this knowledge up. They bought the books of these specialists and were devout to change. And it was a mutually beneficial business partnership with Exodus, bringing in these people because they would gain clients and give themselves more credence to what they are saying because there are experts in the subject. At the height of Exodus's popularity, there were 250 local ministries in the United States and Canada as members, along with 150 ministries across 17 other countries. It grew from being a primarily Christian entity to being closely associated with Protestant and evangelical denominations as well, so it just kept growing. Basically, if you were a part of this movement and were willing to bring in the people, you were welcome. Michael Bussey, I also heard it pronounced as Busse, was one of the founders of Exodus, but he quickly felt a disconnect between himself and the life that he was living. He said that he couldn't pretend that he was changing anymore, or that any of the people that he was helping were changing either. He would leave the group in 1979 to be with his partner, Gary Cooper, who was also a member of Exodus previously. And they essentially, because it was not legal at the time, married in 1982 and were happy together until Gary passed away from an AIDS-related illness in 1991. Which brings me to my next point. In addition to the religious fear that the gay community was feeling, there was also the AIDS crisis. Of course, media, churches, and speakers would use that to their advantage, stating that there was an alleged correlation between being gay, gay sex, having AIDS, and therefore dying. We know that being gay is not an element of catching the AIDS virus, and that not all members who died of AIDS were gay. So this is a moot point, but of course they used a further fear-based mongering way to latch on to people and to get them to join these groups. John Polk was a prominent member within the Exodus International group as well. He had been elected chairman of the board for all of North America and became one of the most public faces for the group. He was often featured in media and on talk shows as a success story of somebody who had turned straight after going through conversion therapy. He wrote a memoir titled Not Afraid to Change, and for many years he spoke out in support of Exodus's beliefs. He married a woman from the group and former lesbian named Anne, and the two of them were this poster couple for the group. They had a son together, and on the surface they appeared very happy. So they have alleged experts, they have this success story, and they're parading this all around the United States. And this is in the height of the AIDS epidemic and the anti-gay movement, so it's honestly just a mess. John really struggled internally, and as he got older, he felt less aligned with who he was. This was fine when he was in his mid to late 20s, early 30s, but as he got older, he was like, I'm running out of time, and this is not who I am. He felt like he was living a lie, and he really started to struggle with alcohol abuse to numb the feelings that he had. In 1995, while at a conference in Washington, D.C., he went to a gay bar, and he was hated in the gay community for what he represented at the time, so he was immediately spotted and basically shamed out of the bar. When he was leaving, he tried to hide his face from cameras, but the photo did surface of him leaving the bar. His next meeting with Exodus, he was in tears and stating that he hoped his actions wouldn't hurt the movement, but it had put a crack in the facade that they were trying to portray. His wife, Anne, would file for separation, and John was fired from his chairman position. And while this was a messier way for him to be freed and come to terms with who he really was, ultimately it did allow him to be happier. But in addition to him struggling with the guilt of who he really was, he felt guilt for representing anti-gay when he was gay. He was hated in his own community, and that's a really, really hard pill to swallow. In 2013, he publicly apologized for his role in promoting conversion therapy and acknowledged the harm that it caused. And he is currently in a very happy relationship with his partner and living his best life. And as far as we know, Anne is still a part of the anti-gay movements. She refused to be interviewed for the Pray Away documentary. Yvette Cantu Schneider was another key figure in the ex-gay movement. She worked along as a spokesperson for Exodus International. She spoke publicly about her experiences of changing her sexual orientation through therapy and religious intervention, and that she had spent 6 years as a lesbian, stating that she put in the work and took 3 years to overcome her same-sex attraction. When she was 27, she said that she had gone into a local church looking for some sort of meaning in her life. Something to help her feel more fulfilled and meet other people. She really didn't think anything was wrong with her, but over time she was brainwashed into believing the lifestyle that she was living was dirty and wrong. Tying this in with the AIDS crisis, Yvette lost several gay male friends to the disease, and because of it, she was pushed as it being synonymous with being gay, and she didn't want a part of that community anymore. She didn't want to lose any more friends. And she was scared, ultimately. So, over time, she would realize the harm that these therapies caused, particularly after she saw the trauma experienced by others who had undergone the same practices. And because she was a spokesperson for this group, many of her speeches and everything are filmed, and she watches them back, and she still can't, you can see a visible cringe in her face, because she just feels so ashamed that she was ever a part of this. But again, she was young, and I get the fear-based movements to do with cults. It's they use fear and they use some sort of common mentality gain, and that's how they gain more people. She realized the harm that the therapies caused, particularly after she saw the trauma experienced by those who had undergone the same practices as her. But she was trying to cure something that wasn't broken in her either. Yvette now is an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and often speaks out against conversion therapy, shedding light on its dangers and working to raise awareness and its emotional and psychological costs that she's still dealing with in her day-to-day today. We do learn at the end of the documentary that she is still happily married to her husband that she had throughout this process, and she still has they share 2 children together. They're very happy as a family. And she actually identifies as being bisexual. She thinks that it was easier for her to accept the fact that she was changing during this conversion therapy because, in her words, as it turns out, she was always attracted to both sexes. So it was easier for her to be like, oh, I cured myself of being a lesbian. No, she just fell in love with a man. And I'm so happy that they're still together. The primary teachings for why you believed that you were gay surrounded that you must have undergone some sort of sexual abuse or trauma as a child. And if you didn't have that, it was inadequate parenting. It was something psychological, just like feeling depressed or anxiety, that with some therapy and proper practices and prayer, it could strengthen your relationship with God and therefore heal you. Sierra's been rubbing her temples pretty much the entire time I've been talking, guys.
It gives me a headache.
It gives me a fucking headache. Julie Rogers came out to her mom when she was 16, and her mom panicked. She had her go to the local church that they went to as a family and go to one of the gay support group meetings. This was a meeting that at the time was hosted by Exodus, and she wanted to be good and to be loved by God. She had been raised in a religious household, and the leader let her know some of the reasons that people can think that they're gay, as I mentioned above, either trauma or inadequate parenting. And she initially questioned this because she hadn't experienced much trauma in her life at that point, and for the most part, she had a really good relationship with her parents, so she was kind of like, well, that's weird, but I also know that in the Bible it says that, a man and a woman will marry and have kids and have a family and blah, blah, blah. So maybe there is something the matter with me. She would be a part of these meetings until she was 21 years old. And sadly, during her sexual exploration, she was raped by a man. And she didn't feel like she was changing, so if anything, this made her less drawn to men after this. Understandably. Yeah. She started speaking for Exodus about her personal experiences and journey to being straight, but she never wanted to talk about her experience with the rape. But she was told by Exodus members that it would give her story surrounding trauma more credibility if she did, and therefore help more people. But it was extremely damaging to her to openly talk about something that she hadn't dealt with herself.
Yeah.
They didn't respect her wishes at all.
Caused her to be gay when it happened
after she had already come to terms with being gay. Yeah. It's like brainwash all around. And it's honestly just really fucked up that they would puppeteer her around and not respect her wishes. But groups like this, again, still exist. And it's very good and healthy to set boundaries in what you are and aren't comfortable talking about. And if you're not comfortable talking about something, usually your body, there's a reason in your body as to why. Like, it's really sad to me. People in these groups were so deeply depressed that they weren't changing, that some deliberately tried to overdose and end their own lives. And every one of them believed that they were living a lie, because they were. They were trying to change who they are, and who they are is just fine. Julia eventually came to the realization that trying to change her sexual identity was deeply harmful to her, and she embraced her true identity as a lesbian woman and began to publicly challenge the practices that she once subscribed to. She is now an advocate for LGBTQ plus inclusion, specifically in churches, because she is still very much aligned with her religion, which is great. And she is trying to create more church groups and educate people on that being an inclusive space and, kind of remove some of the old-timey beliefs around a man and a woman being the only option. Like, so for her, it was really healing to find other churches that accepted her as she was, and therefore she's trying to do the same thing everywhere she goes. And during the Pray Away documentary, you get to see her and her wife Amanda get married, and it's very cute. They found a church that they could both get married in because they're both practicing Christians, and it be legal and be in a church, and I just think that that's so great. Like I said, there are still practicing members that work with conversion therapy, even though Exodus International would disband in 2013. They did issue a public apology for the pain and trauma that they may have caused their members. And I respect that they have openly said that and closed their doors. But literally the year before they closed their doors, they released an iPhone app on helping to cure your gay.
Oh my
Like,
God.
just, are you fucking kidding me? At least they're not operating anymore. And on the other side, where we talked about people still actively practicing this, we see one man featured in the documentary named Jeffrey McCall, who preaches to others about his time, quote, living in sin as a transgender woman named Scarlett before finding religion and therapy. He uses his story as a point for these programs being successful, in addition to speaking with various groups and families. Many of his customers, quote unquote, are people who have lost their children to sin and being gay, and he is supposed to talk some sense into them. He started the Freedom March, which is a group of people who are free of their LGBTQT past and are now sharing their stories freely with others. And following
Goodness
the
gracious.
release of the Pray Away documentary, he released an interview stating, Pray Away has a clear agenda to stop conversion practices. They believe that they're trying to change one's sexuality can be harmful. My ministry is quite different from previous former LGBTQ plus ministries, and that it focuses on the relationship with Jesus. I don't focus on behavioral changes. I focus on wanting people to be cleaned from the inside out. I believe obedience to God follows an internal cleanse of the Holy Spirit. End quote. Whether Jeffrey is truly happy and living his true self is his prerogative, but it doesn't change the fact that across these stories, there is a consistent thread of deep psychological and emotional trauma caused by conversion therapies. Whether it was shame, self-loathing, or lasting trauma, many of the individuals featured in the documentary and in other sources that I read struggled with deep depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts after being subjected to these harmful practices, whether willingly or because their families made them. But for people to be put into these types of programs and counseling, it does create that internal conflict between who you are and what they were taught growing up. So I get that there's just like, especially with Julie, there's just like that constant pull of like where your body should be and what should be. And then when you throw in additional, couples that are successful and professionals being in the mix, it makes them think that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
When in turn, many of them realize that what was being done to them was wrong. Pray Away is a 2021 documentary available on Netflix, like I said, and I found it both heartbreaking and beautiful. So I'm glad to share with you the details of this specific type of cult today, and cults like it because it is damaging, and I don't think people should be conflicted in their faith or whatever they believe if they are gay. You are loved, you matter, and you deserve to thrive on this earth just like any other one of us. So I would highly recommend that you watch it if you haven't already. And yeah, if you liked this episode, don't forget to leave us 5 stars wherever you're listening now. And now I'm going to let Sierra go off. What are your thoughts
Listen,
on this type
we
of
know what
therapy?
I think of this, and it's every time I say it, I get nervous that someone's gonna yell at me. I was literally just talking to Josie about this like 2 days ago. That's why I changed my
Conversion
parents'
therapy?
shirt. No,
Oh,
about my beliefs on the LGBTQ plus community, which is that everyone is there's a spectrum. Okay,
yeah.
I don't believe that straight exists. everyone has this, in my opinion, maybe I'm just giving humans too much credit, but I just feel like if Love is Blind was real life and you couldn't see if the other person had a penis or a vagina, you'd be attracted to them based on them.
Yeah.
Gender does not exist. A man can wear a dress, a woman can wear slacks. So their outfits don't fucking matter. You don't know whether or not they have a penis or a vagina. It's a human.
Yeah.
People are attracted to people. Humans
Yeah.
are attracted to humans. That's
I agree.
all. Like, in my opinion, that's it. So those people are fucking crazy, um, for
And
thinking anything
hurtful.
otherwise.
I just hate the like I also have people in my life that have come out and their families don't accept them for this exact reason. And it's like, that's fucking awful. Like, that's
Yeah.
wrong. I'm sorry. It is not some imbalance in their brain that can be fixed with medication and therapy. It's just, it is what it is. And that's okay. And I agree with you in the sense that, like, yeah, I've known women that claim to be completely straight that have
Have
fallen
you
for
ever
other women
heard
because of deep emotional connections and
have you ever
just
heard a straight man say, you know, "I like women, but for that celebrity, I'd be
yeah,
gay."
Kevin, Ryan Reynolds.
I wonder, Jesse, same person, Ryan Reynolds. Like, I fucking wonder why.
Ryan Reynolds, if you're
Because
listening to this podcast,
straight doesn't
you have
exist.
options. But
Anyway,
yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that everything is just a spectrum, and this
yeah.
is a spectrum that is accepted. And I think that I hope that I see more groups like this dying out as time goes on because, you know, how far we've evolved in the last 30, 40 years. I hope that that continues. I know we see in some states and some places that are not that evolved and are still very homophobic, and people that are still very homophobic. And it just makes me sad. I think the world could be so much further than it is if there was less hate. So
Yeah.
that's just my
Um,
opinion. Love, love,
the
love, love, love.
cult that I was thinking of, it doesn't, I don't know if it has a name. So there was a story that I heard on Reddit on Wiki
Yeah.
from Reddit. It was a relationship advice story, and it was about a man and a woman who are married. And the man tells the woman that he has to leave for a week or whatever it is, 10 days or something, with his brother in law, his sister's husband, um, to go on a gaycation where men go to basically have a orgy with other men to get it out of their system so that they don't become gay. I don't know. I don't know, but
My mouth is
the
agape right now. This is just
the
another
husbands,
way to
yeah,
combat what is fine. Yeah, that's fucked
the
up.
husband and his brother-in-law were spoken to by multiple people in the family, and they both used very specific wording. I don't have the post in front of
What
me
is
right
this,
now, but
Brokeback Mountain? Like,
they used very specific wording to justify what they were doing, which seemed to me and to other commenters who commented on it that they were brainwashed, which made me assume this is probably a cult.
oh,
But I
100%.
can't, no matter how hard I try
Oh,
to Google gaycation cult, it doesn't come up. So I'm not sure
I
how to
know.
find this group,
And it's like a
unfortunately.
very protected set of groups too. Like, even when I was trying to find, like, I tried to find another cult that was of similar size to Exodus, even though it's
Yeah.
gone now. And it was like, would you like to join your local this? And it was like, no. Like, even when I tried to Google it in any way, a few sources had like 12 of them. I'm not going to list all 12 of them, but like, if your church group or your religious group or your club or your friends or your anything is trying to convince you to be anything other than who you are, it's a cult. Sorry.
Yeah.
If they're like, come to this dusty basement and let's give you some therapy for nothing that's wrong with you, cult.
Yeah. Will you write down gaycation on your sticky note?
Yes.
I will try to find the post and read it for you on Bitch and Wine.
Okay.
If y'all want to hear it, you gotta come over to Patreon.
Yeah, because that's really fucked up. But I don't doubt that stuff like that exists, especially after watching this. And I know you
Yeah.
haven't gotten a chance to yet. I would. These people are awesome. And I'm happy to see what they're doing now. And yeah, we just try and keep this an inclusive space. So always will be. And speaking of inclusive and things we want to talk about later, do you have anything you want to mention? Or
Two
I
things.
have a sticky note that says I things
Okay,
and
I things.
test.
Test first. So this comes out on the 25th. On the 26th, I am taking my esthetician test. I'm so
You
scared.
got
So
this.
while you guys are listening to this, please send me some good vibes. Keep me in your thoughts. Make sure that you manifest that I do amazing because I'm really nervous. I'm not I I just get nervous when it comes to tests. I overthink. And so I'm super scared. I know the information. I know it, but I'm so scared. I'm going to overthink it.
Especially
So,
with multiple choice tests that are like designed
yeah.
to trick you.
Yeah,
I
they
always
are
second
too.
guess myself.
Yeah.
I am very smart and I do not test well. And I suspect that in that way we are very much the same person. But I think you got
Yeah.
this.
Thank
I
you.
think
I'm
you got
nervous,
this.
but anyway, my eye things. Let me show you these things.
What the fuck is that?
So this is red light therapy
Oh, for your eyeballs?
for your under eyes, and it also has microcurrent.
So you just
So
walk around wearing that?
I put it on at night and read my book. And this is what I was trying to explain yesterday, which is one of the reasons why I haven't been reading as much lately is when I put this on, it's a massage.
Yeah.
Okay. It's massaging me and it's doing red light therapy, which calms you. And I'm reading my book and falling asleep with
That
this
thing
on.
is awesome.
But it's so cool. I love it.
Where did you
It's
get
great.
that?
Just on Amazon.
I love it. I still really want the
Yeah.
full sheet mask one with just like
Yeah.
the eye holes. I
Yeah.
really want that. But for now I just have that little gun one that I try and hold for enough time. I don't know if it's doing anything. If anything, the massage part of it makes me feel better, so
Yeah.
but that is awesome. I need you to send
It
me the
is
link for that
super
immediately.
awesome. I love
Especially
it.
because your under eyes as women are a place that typically ages the fastest, especially if you're like me and Sierra and you have high cheekbones. You're just destined to have crow's feet. But I think aging is a blessing. So
Bubba told me one day, he said, whoa, mommy, your bags are really big. And I was like, what? And he was like, you look like you have two black eyes. And I was like, oh, thanks, Bubba. And he was like, I mean, I'm just being honest. I was like, okay.
you're like, I can't even
And
be mad
I
at you because
texted
that's so wholesome that you didn't intend any bad behind it. But
I
sir,
texted my stepmom immediately and she sent me a Snapchat back wearing this. And I was like, I'm buying that now. Right now, I'm buying that.
before
So,
I'm called out by my son anymore.
yeah.
Oh my god. Did you have a follow-up discussion with Bubba about pointing out with people that look like shit? Maybe just
I
that
have
not
been
being a thing he does?
trying to teach my children over and over again that if it is not something they can change in 5 minutes, you do not say anything.
Yeah.
If they have something in their teeth, they can change that in 5 minutes. Let them know, hey, you have something in their teeth, in your
Yeah,
teeth.
that's
If they have
nice.
a booger hanging out of their nose,
Yeah, you
that's
got a
something they can
booger.
change in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a booger. If
If they have a
they
giant pimple on their face, we don't point that out.
yeah, if they have yellow teeth, if they have black eyes, if they have stinky clothes, just shut up. Just shut up. Just they probably know already, okay? Just shut up. Ugh,
I just love how honest children are.
yeah, definitely. Do you have anything you want to share before we go?
Oh, fuck. I forgot how we do a show. What I would like to share is that I am a quarter of the way through the last Akatar book, and I am loving it. Just saying.
Are you
Me
embarrassed yet?
and myself have a hot date with my bathtub. and we're going to keep
Do you
reading that.
understand my costume yet?
Yes.
I don't know what part you're on. You do.
Yes. And I already have so many notes for Bitch and Wine, so I'm very excited.
Yay!
But yeah. That, and by the time everybody is hearing this, we have a very exciting bonus episode out within That's Why We Drink, so
Yay!
that's super fucking
That was
fun
fun.
too. So we hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you're new here again because of that, welcome. We will see you guys next week for Sierra's, I forget what your last category is. Murderless episode.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, keep it twisted. Twisted and Uncorked is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alecia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can check out all things Twisted on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.